Avery, whose show is this? And we're live. Welcome, everybody, here to the Lakers Lounge Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin, Senior Lakers Insider for Clutch Points. And today on the show, who daddy do we have a game to talk about? Because the Lakers lost to the Charlotte Hornets 100-97 at home after a week off. And based probably technically a little bit more than a week off because they went into the break losing to the Utah Jazz in a game that they didn't seem to really care about either. And this one was pretty eye-opening for a variety of reasons. We'll talk about them on the show. That is Raj you see on your screen there, and you will hear from in a second. Quick reminder before we get into the show, please hit that subscribe button, please hit that like button, and then tell your friends about the show, all of that good stuff. Let's today on the show we're going to be talking about the loss and some of the, I know it's going to sound knee jerky, but I have some takes coming out of this one. That this game made me nervous, man. I think this is the worst loss of the season. The worst, and there's competition on this front. And I think this was the worst one of the year. So we'll talk about that. Raj, how you feeling, man? How you, like it's I feel like it's been a little while.
It has. This is the first game I've got to sit down and watch at home, so I get to have all my stuff in front in a while. I missed the last two, obviously Lakers, Luka's debut, and then the loss in Utah, where I was, out of town in Las Vegas. So it's the first one I've been home, get to have all my essentials around me, have my laptop next to me, and I'm just super pumped for this game. And then they come out and it's a absolute disaster and pretty eye-opening, and I think we'll kind of get into it. And I was telling you before we got on, I was pretty much on the Luka natural high for the last few weeks, and this is the first one that kind of let's come back down to earth. You still gotta you still gotta play, you still gotta defend. So a lot of interesting stuff to take from it, but just still wild to watch Luka Doncic in the Laker jersey. But I could understand the frustrations that you're feeling and a lot of people are feeling, and Mark Williams, I'm sure, is feeling, who I thought played awful. I don't know. I thought that was an awful, if it was if he was trying to show Rob Pelinka or whatever, the Lakers brass, that they, made a mistake, maybe not through the physical. I thought that was a pretty bad game from him. But other than that, rough one. Luka getting picked on all night. Well, all fourth quarter defensively, we'll discuss that. But that's a rough one, man. Good thing they play tomorrow.
Get it off here, where it's really tough to get wins for the Lakers. Let's go through some of the numbers here for the Lakers. You had some guys play some long minutes because of how this game played out, because Austin was not available. He got thrown out midway through the third quarter. I thought it was crazy. Like I when he threw like the air punch at the referee, like I was like, all right, that's one T. All right. And then I went back because the second tee was pretty quick, and nobody seemed to react to the second tee. So Austin clearly probably said something that warranted the second tee. But I went back and I was like trying to find an angle to try to lip read what he said there. Couldn't find anything. And that was a weird one. And then what makes it all worse is that Austin was right. He got 100%. Hit on the wrist, and the ball came loose as a result of it. Like, that's the kind of thing where, like, I know they've gone back and made the decision to, like, on plays where the ball goes out of bounds, if a foul caused the ball to go out of bounds, they can go back and overturn the call. I feel like when you're throwing a player out, you should go back and look at the call, that the player is so upset about. And if the player is right, the referee can go like, all right, my bad. And then if the player is wrong, then the player can get like his fine doubled, right? It can be like
Sure.
whatever it is. Like, what are you doing complaining to this extent on the right call kind of a deal? But
Yeah.
this one, like, it was very clearly like Austin doesn't react that way,
No.
and unless it's a really bad call. So that immediately was the first red flag. And then afterwards, like you look at the call, and you're like, oh, okay, so they screwed up the call and threw out the guy on top of it. Whoever the referee is, I hope you get a nice heavy fine.
Right, but that was gonna be my next point. Austin's reputation is not of someone who consistently berates officials in that way. And when he started walking away, I thought that was it. And to call the second techno that early, gotta let guys have a little bit of emotion. Every time, been watching Stu for so long, but every time a guy gets a technical, Stu says the same exact thing. He said the magic word. It's like,
yeah.
maybe he said the magic word, but I mean, 2 technicals, there's got to be a bar for that. And again, Austin's reputation has him at a place where I don't think as a guy gets thrown out. I think you made a good point on Twitter or X, whatever it's called. Draymond Green probably continues playing or
yeah.
just,
The referee, like if after he gives Draymond the first tech and Draymond
Right.
kept talking, the referee would be like, la, la, la.
Right.
I can't hear it. Good point, Draymond. You got it.
Yeah, that's what's funny. Draymond
Meanwhile,
gets
like
crazier.
Austin's walking away and he's like, what?
Yeah.
What was that? Say it a little louder. Like, it was crazy. Absolutely nuts. Even still, I also thought like it was also pretty clear that Austin let the frustrations from the rest of the game boil into his reaction to that play because he wasn't very good tonight. 3 of 9 from the field, 2 of 7 from 3-point range. He's been struggling from 3 recently. His rhythm on 3-pointers is also kind of off. I don't think he quite understands when he should or should not be taking shots with Luka and LeBron also out there. I also think the Lakers are not doing him very many favors when they sit both Luka and LeBron and give him that second unit, where today it was like Alex Len and Jared Vanderbilt and Dorian Finney-Smith and like Dalton Connect out there at the same time. And I was like, what the fuck is this? I tweeted it out a second ago. I'm concerned about JJ. Like, it's one thing for JJ to coach a team and come into a season where like it's LeBron and AD and you aren't necessarily expected to win a championship because they haven't really sniffed a championship in recent years. It's like, all right, like any kind of success that you have, it's kind of cool. It's a fun story or whatever. But now you have LeBron and Luka. That's a top 5 player in Luka, and that's a top 10 to 15 player and top 5 on some nights player in LeBron. And it's like, you got to win right away with those guys. And I don't know if like, I, for one thing, don't necessarily think he's a rookie coach. So this shouldn't be like groundbreaking analysis. I don't think JJ is ready for the stakes that, are going to elevate over the course of the season. But I also don't know if he and his staff are ready for the expectations that are going to come with coaching a LeBron Luka team.
I'm glad you went here because I think this is important. Obviously, we're already dissecting JJ's rotations, 3 games into this massive deal. But I think another part of this, Anthony, I was thinking about this. JJ came in and he kind of inherited a team that was already together, right? I mean, there wasn't too many changes that were coming onto it. He was able to draw up plays all summer, right? Even drawing up plays for Dalton Connect on draft day. A team that was set, that kind of understood the hierarchy of where they were going. Obviously, Austin ascended to a little bit higher responsibility, and D'Lo's kind of role with Max Christie was something that also changed. But other than that, there's a lot of stuff that stayed the same from last year. This is an entirely new situation. Not only is the offense different, I think that's something that everyone focuses on. Anthony, the defense is entirely different. It's an entirely different style of defense. The Hornets tonight went Luka Doncic hunting. And that's something that I expect every team to do. And I expect even when Austin Reaves is out there, that they're going to put him in actions as well. And we had to kind of send doubles at the Hornets, which is a disgusting line I had to say out loud. But we had to send double teams at the Hornets every single time. Our defense is completely switched. Even with Jackson Hayes on the floor, he's our center in quotations. But he's also the guy that we actually use as a forward. So he's switching everywhere. There's no one we're funneling to. And the other end, you mentioned Austin, and I think this is important. He doesn't know where his shots come from. JJ doesn't know where his shots come from. JJ doesn't know where Luka's shots come from. Yet, it's a lot of standing around and watching. The only guy comfortable is LeBron James, which makes a lot of sense. LeBron has the most experience. obviously has been leading the team, before Luka got here, and kind of has a sense of where, when to attack. But Luka and Austin both look like they're in the phase of, well, I'm not trying to step on your toes. Well, I'm not trying to step on your you got to match up. You got to match up. You got Mark Williams on you. Yeah, Luka, but you have a 6'2" guy. Like, go at him. Luka's like, no, you got it, man. You could score. So it's kind of this dance that they're gonna have to learn, and I think that'll take time. Luka also, it's so funny seeing like a Hall of Fame player still be in the mode of, I gotta prove I'm Luka Doncic. It's so fascinating to watch him in that mode, Anthony, where he's like, man, I still gotta prove that I'm that guy. And all these things are happening at once, and that's not to excuse the Charlotte loss, but yeah, I'm with you. JJ has, he was, I don't know, he was playing chess and now he got checkers. It's like, oh, this is a brand new game. These are different rules to this one. You don't win the same way. I don't play either, but yeah, I'm assuming that's how those work. So yeah, it's just JJ has a brand new set of tools that he has to work with, and I think it's gonna take some time. And luckily, we play another bad. Well, they're playing well, but we played a quote unquote bad team tomorrow in Portland. Hopefully, get some more reps with that.
Well, like here's where. And I get fans saying like, oh, don't overreact, this and that. Look, man, they got their asses kicked by Utah going into the break, and then they lose to a Charlotte team that was trying to lose this one. Charlotte had, for one thing, now they picked up their 3-point shooting down the stretch, but at one point they went 1 of 15 from 3-point range, and the Lakers were up by like 6. They had, in this one, 17 turnovers, and like they did everything that the Lakers could have asked them to do to win this game. I saw somebody like in the comments, and I'm not picking on you here, LeBron to Kobe LA. If AR didn't get ejected, they win this game, even if he was playing like trash. You should beat the Charlotte Hornets with LeBron James and Luka Doncic.
Sure.
Like, I don't care if Austin Reaves gets thrown out. I don't care if Rui gets thrown out. I don't care if Raj gets thrown out. You should beat the Charlotte Hornets with Luka Doncic and LeBron James. And part of the problem, Raj, like you just said a second ago, is that LeBron and Luka aren't like coexisting. Like they aren't.
Nothing run together.
They aren't interacting at all on the court. It's like,
nope.
Every time one is on one side of the court, the other one goes to the opposite side. And every time one guy has the ball, the other guy just kind of gets out of the way. And this is the red flag to me, is that like you're coming out of the break where you finally get to practice a little bit. You can finally get some tape to crunch and all of that stuff. Nobody important participated in All-Star Weekend for you either. So everybody could have been in the group chat and responding.
Hey, Dalton had an awesome All-Star Weekend.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, my bad. But like he was a Hornet at the time, maybe. I don't know.
No, he was a Laker by then. They wish he was a Hornet. Yes.
I don't think they do. But so like you had a full week to implement anything whatsoever with LeBron and Luka running shit side by side, or it being involved in the same sets, or running pick and roll, or dribble handoff, anything. And the offense, like I would say, looked worse today than it did the last time that we saw it. Like it was just, this is where, again, it's a great point that you made a second ago, that like JJ basically got to step in, and all he had to do to be better than Darvin Ham was play his best players, which he was doing, and that's fine. But now all of a sudden, he has to, on the fly, figure out an offense where LeBron and Luka multiply or compound each other's strengths. And that can be easy said, that can seem like an easy thing for us to say. That's been my point all along, is that like I think eventually LeBron and Luka are going to have to figure it out, or will figure it out. It might be LeBron and Luka have to figure this out, and JJ kind of has to sit there like Drake in the in that one GIF where the one guy is like showing him the computer, and like that's like LeBron and Luka are gonna have to be like see, here's what we can do here, and JJ's gonna be like, oh, I get it. Or Greg St. Jean is gonna have to sit there and be like, oh, that makes more sense. Because there is the thing with this Lakers team, and we saw it on the stretch, they can't get stops. Like they are not a good defensive team. They don't have the personnel, almost no matter who is on the court, especially down the stretches of games, because you're going to have Austin, you're going to have the Luka, and you're going to have LeBron out there. So like the Lakers are going to have to like they're going to have to overwhelm teams offensively, and you aren't going to be as good as you can possibly be if it's LeBron and Luka taking turns.
Right. And look, I think one thing that, is going to help this, at least it should, and I don't know how long this takes, Anthony. This is different for every basketball player in the world, really, but Luka's conditioning just has to improve. The reason he's giving the ball to LeBron and going to the other side because he's trying to catch his breath. I mean, he had a transition layup today where it looked like it just took everything out of him to get that layup to go. They, for some reason, Spectrum decided to zoom in on the replay of that, and it's just Luka, like his face making all the just most painful looks. It's like a wide open not wide open. He was getting chased. That's one thing. But I'm with you. These are two players.
It reminded me. I remember when I was a kid, I went through some like random stretch where I ran like an old man, and it pissed my dad off to no end.
Yeah.
Like it just like really, we would like warm up before the game, and we would be like warming up and stuff like that, and like dad would literally call me over. He was my coach in basketball, and then in soccer, like it didn't matter. Yeah. Like he was my dad. So like if he was like, Fred, get your ass, I was like, okay, here I come. And he'd be like, why are you running like that? And it's like, Dad, it's because I like that's how I was really young. It's like, that's how I see you run. And he's like, I'm 35.
Right.
You need to run better than I do. And like I'm watching Luka play out there today. And look, happy that the Lakers made the trade. I think Dallas is crazy for trading him.
We're already there, Anthony. We have to make caveats for Luka criticism saying we like to trade. It's crazy.
Yeah. No. It needs to be pointed out because like I'm just waiting for this to be clipped.
Yeah.
But it's like I also watch him move and I'm like, huh? That like I'm watching like I'll watch Jokic play, and it's wild to me that he can be so effective, or was wild for a long time that he could be so effective. And you would watch him play, and he's a mouth breather, and it's like, dang, that's crazy that guy is so effective and he's breathing through his mouth. Eventually, your mouth would really dry out. That seems like it would really, really suck. It's got to be tough to play with like a 24/7 head cold. But then I watch Luka play, and it's very different because I watch him play, and it's like, man, that dude looks like he's sweating out tequila. Like that guy just like his hairdo also doesn't do him any favors either. He's got this like flop sweat hairdo that he's doing. Right. And he finally like he steals the ball and he dribbles 3/4 of the court. And afterward, he's like, he's like grimacing. I don't know if he's in pain. Like I was texting somebody while that was taking place, and he's like, man, Luka looks really out of shape. I was like, I don't know if he pulled his hammy again or if he just has a side cramp. Like, I don't know what was going on there.
No, he definitely looks like, he's pulled out of bed and going, Luka, you have a game today. Oh,
yeah.
All right. I'm good. I'm ready to go. Just puts his hands in his hair. No, so I think he has to get in shape. And like, I'm sure Nico Harrison is just going, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. But
yeah, right.
Like,
right. Nico's watching right now. See, I told you.
He has this on this huge like screen with their owners watching at the same time, making his points. But no, Luka has to get in better shape. But these are two generational ball handlers, and that aren't used to going and screening for other people, right? Even with Luka and Kyrie, it was a lot of Kyrie attacking for his own scoring rather than setting other players up. The first time really Luka has another player that can actually go and do all the playmaking duties for him, which is great. It I think saves his legs, it saves LeBron's legs as well, and it saves Austin's legs. But what it's done is take all three of them out of their usual rhythm, right? Austin just dropped 45 3 games ago, right? Like he could score, but he's in a position now where he has to pick his spots even more. Like he had to with LeBron, obviously, but now with Luka, you throw another 35% usage player. It just changes the whole geography of the floor, even more so than Anthony Davis, which was much more of a partner on offense, right? AD can come screen for Austin, can come screen for LeBron. It's a little different Austin motioning Luka to come screen for him, and Luka goes, "You want me to come all the way over there? I'm like over here. You want me to come all the way over there and like set a screen for you?" And so like what they've kind of answered right now is, okay, I got the switch I want. Let me one-on-one attack my guy. LeBron has a switch he wants, he attacks, and I think that will get better. JJ just too tactical of a coach to me to allow that be the offense, but the defensive concerns are there. I think 10 guys is too much also, Anthony.
Yeah.
Like I think
There's
especially
way
when
too much
you're
Len in this game.
yeah, Nurkic isn't good enough where you have to match up with Alex Len. And my God, what happened to Yusuf Nurkic? That dude was an NBA player, I think a year ago. But yeah, a lot of Alex Len. Dalton Connect, I understand trying to get him in, but it felt like just 10 guys was too much. And we really got no lineup consistency, no lineup got any chemistry with each other. Felt like one guy came in, three guys came out. Like it was a very strange from a rotation standpoint, but I understand it. You took out two starters. Now, obviously you got one big time one, but you got two starters that were defensive minded, and now you have to fill in those gaps. It's difficult. A lot of Vando didn't play in the fourth, I think, until late. Jackson Hayes.
Vando only played 13 minutes. He was a minus 17 in his 13 minutes, which is kind of crazy. But
yeah,
well, it's funny because you look at the numbers, and I know JJ doesn't really want to play like this, but Jackson was a plus 12, and even Len was a plus 8. Like, I do think there's some value in having, especially with Luka, somebody like Jackson who can finish on the other end of those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, yeah, that's gonna be something that the Lakers have to figure out. Correct me if I'm misremembering this, Raj, but didn't JJ say at the beginning of the year that he wanted to go with like an 8-man rotation?
He did. Yes.
And then in this one, like the stuff that Spectrum was talking about was how excited JJ was to have a 10-man rotation. Like, and then, at the beginning of the year, they were like, and like at various points in the year, they've gone through all of these different identities and different approaches and stuff like this. And that again is where I think JJ's inexperience is really kind of biting him, right? It's the thing about coaching over the course of an 82 game season is like you want to try out as many ideas as you can, but the Lakers, there just doesn't seem to, like, this game was a really good example of there didn't seem to be any central rules that the Lakers were trying to abide, right?
Right.
Like, to me, two of LeBron, Austin, and Luka have to be on the court at all times.
Yeah.
And now it makes it difficult when Austin gets thrown out of the game, but like you had, and if one of the guys is going to be on the court by himself, it's got to be either Luka or LeBron. It can't be Austin. And like it just feels right now like kind of Darwin-y to me in the way that they're kind of firing mud at the wall and they're hoping that something kind of sticks. And like at some point you have to commit to a rotation, to a style of play, to an identity, and then
Right.
kind of work around that, identify some rules, and then build off of those things moving forward. We haven't gotten to that point in the season. There's 29 games left.
Right. That's where I was going to go. I think the Lakers have a very clear identity and they need to lean into that. Now there's going to be losses that come from it. There's going to be some games where it looks ugly, but this is an offensive team. I mean, and I don't know if Alex Len was told, like, we'll give you a shot. We'll keep you in the rotation. I don't know how I'm hoping that's not what happened, but I mean, Alex Len was awful in Utah. I thought, again, I mean, he didn't, I don't know. Maybe he just did not. I didn't really notice him on the floor tonight. So, like you said, he was a +6. I guess so. Looked like he just went back and forth and did some cardio. I didn't see any rim protection, or I don't think he caught the ball once on a roll. Looks like it takes him 3 seconds to load his legs up to jump. Just does not look ready to catch a lob at all. I think Luka looked at him for a lob once and he was like, "Don't throw that up." Like I'm not gonna get it. And so just not the best partner. But yeah, like I thought Jackson Hayes should have played more. You mentioned his plus minus. I have to go back and rewatch the game, but it felt like he was effective. And Jackson Hayes not a perfect player, but I think he fits the kind of ethos of what they're trying to do. Is just a super athletic, long, switchy guy. And again, I think it's a mistake to look at Jackson Hayes and go, that's an Anthony Davis replacement, because that's not what he is, and that's not even
No.
how he's being used here. He's switching out. He's on the perimeter a lot. The Lakers everyone have low man responsibilities, from LeBron to DFS to Rui, and it sucks. Rui missed the 2 free throws, because I thought actually he played pretty well. He kept the team in it with his jump shots. He was boxing out Mark Williams, who I thought got pushed around down low, honestly, between all our forwards. But I thought Rui actually played pretty well besides the 2 free throws that he missed. But yeah, this is a small ball team. Like, that's where your talent is, that's where your talent lives on the roster. And I think that's what you're going to have to kind of really lean into. The Alex Len minutes were awful. I'd like to see more Vando, more DFS, more Rui, more obviously LeBron at the small ball 4-5 center, and go with that. Or if you want to try Koloko maybe and see if that works. But yeah, that's the identity of this team, Anthony. This needs to be a generational offense. Like, it just does. Like, it just,
Yeah.
maybe generational is strong, but this needs to be like one of the top.
If they're gonna accomplish anything in the playoffs, this has to be a borderline historic offense. Like,
that's the way they
because
win.
you like they don't. We saw it on. This is the Charlotte Hornets, man, and the Lakers didn't have a hope at getting a stop when they needed one at any point in the game, right? When the Hornets were when the Lakers were getting stops, it was like missing open jumpers or turning the ball over or stuff like that. Like, that's the other part of this that makes me a little nervous, is that clearly the Lakers are built to play small, but I don't know if culturally the Lakers are willing to do what you have to do to play small 48 minutes in a game, or for the amount that they want to play small. Like, when you go small, it has to be a ton of ball pressure, has to be physicality on the perimeter, has to be absolute dogged pursuit of the ball when it's loose. And then it has to be turning around and running when you possibly can, right?
Yeah.
And the Lakers are like, they'll do it in bursts and they'll look great when they do it, but then they'll kind of fall back into old habits. LeBron doesn't love running. Luka doesn't love running. And then, they also, neither of those guys Luka, I don't know if has ever flexed his defensive muscles, and LeBron hasn't flexed those Miami Heat defensive muscles in 12 years or whatever it's been. So and then Austin doesn't really lend himself to that identity. Rui doesn't lend himself to that identity. I want to come back to Rui here in a second. Like, this approach to wanting to play small, it's fine in theory, and they could maybe do it if this was 2K, but this isn't 2K.
Sure.
And I do think that they're going to have to, I think it's been very clear that JJ has a kind of big that he is comfortable with, and it's Anthony Davis. Every other big, he's like, if you cannot space the floor, you play 18, 19 minutes tops. You do not play more than 20 minutes for me. If you can't do certain things. And I think that's going to be something that JJ, again, as a rookie coach, is going to have to redefine his rules for. Is like, okay, Luka isn't equipped, we are minimizing Luka's potential impact if Jared Vanderbilt is the center in the lineups that Luka is out there.
Sure.
He's not going to be as effective as he should be if there isn't somebody up there to catch the lobs that he's throwing. So that's going to be something that they have to come back to.
Right. And I think the players that really kind of, personified this identity that they're going with is Gabe, DFS. I'd put Vando in there. I'd put, I guess, Hayes in there. Just, I think these fly around athletes, right? And that's where it puts Rui in a very interesting position. I think Rui's best asset with Luka is the ability to kind of pick and pop. And I think Luka just loves having a guy that he can kind of kick out to. But again, this all Anthony surrounds. And I know, this is obviously an awful loss, and I'm not excusing it, but I think this all surrounds. It just has to Luka becoming the 38-8 guy. That's what this roster is now counting on, right? Luka was what, 1 from 9 from 3, or 2 for 9 from 3, or whatever he was tonight. And I think as Laker fans, we're just gonna have to get comfortable with some of these shot attempts, and he hits them at a percentage that are ridiculous, just for the entire league. But these step back threes, that's his shot diet. Now, they're not going in right now. You want him to attack the rim a little bit more. There's a level of aggression that he hasn't got to, maybe with his body and just feeling things out. But that's where I think this team's real ceiling is. And I think good offense leads to good defense. Now, you would hope it's the other way, and most contenders kind of have a defensive floor they can hit. But I think for this team, it's very important that they have an offense that's humming, because I think you spoke about it from Charlotte's perspective, but from the Lakers, when they're missing and you let the Hornets get in transition, we're cooked. Like LaMelo Ball coming in transition. LaMelo, by the way, incredible talent. That ecosystem there, I don't think is gonna win anytime soon. So I'm
I
not
really
sure
hope
when.
he gets to a more serious situation,
Yeah, his
like
shot
in the
attempts
next
are-
3 years, because
He-
I'm concerned that he turns into Jordan Poole.
right,
Like I'm concerned he
right.
turns into like Kuzma.
Uh,
You know,
Exactly. But yeah, I think this team is kind of, and I don't know when it will happen, Anthony, but I think this team, what it eventually needs, I don't know if you agree with me, but this team needs to kind of turn into Luka's offense. Like, I think that's where they become their best, right? LeBron's obviously carrying, Austin's going to get his, but this team traded for Luka to be Luka. And I think this turn-based stuff, like, I think it needs to be Luka dominating the basketball. And I thought in the fourth quarter, our best basketball was when we ran through Luka in the post, and it just put him in the place where he's making the decisions. And you got LeBron dunk off that. You got a Rui 3 off of that. You got another cut. I forgot from who. But until that happens, I think you're going to see these type of games. I mean, we scored 90 points. The Hornets went on a 20-1 run. Like, to your point, even with Austin going to the bench, like, this team should have way too much. You have LeBron and Luka on the floor. You should be getting a good shot every single time down, especially against the Charlotte Hornets, and we didn't. And we let the Hornets take over, go on a 21 run, and then build a double-digit lead in the fourth quarter. But until we get that Luka, I don't know when we'll see this team kind of get on a win streak.
I want to talk about Rui really
Yeah.
quickly before we go to some of the starred comments. The Lakers were reluctant to include him in any kind of trades at the deadline.
Sure.
He's playing really well going into the All-Star break. As you would say, there's a really good player in there somewhere. I still think he's very much more a theoretical player than he is an actualized playoff player, somebody who I'm comfortable shooting at the volume that he's going to have to shoot at in a Luka, LeBron, Austin offense.
Sure.
And that makes me nervous. And I think these next 29 games and then on into the playoffs, like the Lakers are going to have to, he is probably the guy that Rob Pelinka is going to have to watch the closest. He and maybe even Austin to a certain extent, lesser extent. But Rui is the guy that the Lakers organization is going to have to look at and be like, how likely is it that Rui actually becomes the player that we need him to become in the window that we need him to become it? And they need to be brutally honest about it. LA sign and Kobe Gianna number, all that shit doesn't matter. I need Rui Hachimura to be like, let's look at his line tonight. 7 of 16 from the floor, 1 of 8 from 3-point range. All of his 3-pointers were wide open.
Sure.
Wide open. Did grab 8 rebounds, finished with 17 points. So like the numbers look fine. Ish. But
Sure.
the 3-point shooting needs to be significantly better, or the Lakers need to figure out a way for him to shoot fewer 3-pointers, because he did finish at the rim quite a bit better today. He does, like, when he's out there and it's Luka and it's LeBron and it's him, and it's also Jackson Hayes, like Rui is going to be guarded by like a shooting guard probably, or like a smaller player. And I thought the Lakers did a good job early of getting the ball to him down low and allowing him to use his bigger frame to put some of those players in jail. And that was going well. And I thought later in the game, and this is where I think the Lakers just generally get themselves into trouble. Lakers shot 51 3-pointers tonight. That is way too many fucking 3-pointers.
I think you should get used to it.
Look. The Lakers are way too physically overwhelming on the perimeter to shoot 51 3-pointers. 51 threes is crazy. That's nuts. Like, maybe this is like Bacon made it. Like, maybe this is me being an old
Right.
millennial being like, no, that's too many threes. 51 3-pointers when they clearly they shot 29% on those 3-pointers.
Mhm.
And you look at the guys who were shooting like the majority of them. LeBron was the only guy who shot well, I guess DFS shot well, 4 of 6. LeBron was the only one who looked like he was in a bit of a rhythm. But that's because he made his first like 3. He finished 4 of 11. So for the rest of the game, he shot, if he made his first 3 and then he went 4 of 11 total, it means he went 1 of 8 for the rest of the game. Rui was 1 of 8. Luka was 1 of 9. Austin was 2 of 7. And Gabe was 2 of 6. And then Dalton was 1 of 4. So, like, the guys that need to be knocking down these jumpers, either the Lakers need to hire a fucking shooting coach already, or you need to shoot way fewer 3-pointers. One of those two things need to happen.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think, like, what do you think about the Rui aspect of all of this? Because I
Yeah.
am really sick of waiting for this guy to be consistently the guy that they need him to be, like, borderline third best player on a championship team.
Well, yeah, I mean that I think even if he's the fourth, I think that's fine. And I think it's interesting. I think these last 29 games are going to be an evaluation for him for sure. But you have no choice this season, Anthony. Like I said this about Max to start the year. There is no good Laker team today, this roster, without Rui Hachimura being a part of it. It just does
Yeah.
not exist.
Oh, yeah.
And you're right. He got a lot of open looks tonight. I think he and Jackson Hayes have had the biggest smiles that I've seen since playing with Luka because they have just learned that every shot I'm going to get is great. I'm going to get open every single time. Every time I cut, I'm getting the basketball. He did go 1 for 8 from 3 tonight. He has been shooting 43% from 3. I think your concerns are valid in terms of against playoff level style defense. Can you hit those same shots? I think against he had some good series against Memphis, against Golden State, but obviously against Denver, he struggled. Like most of the role players did struggle against Denver, but I think that is a valid concern. How he fares in the playoffs when things get tight. Now the free throw wasn't a great point to that, and missed both free throws tonight, but I think he's playing his correct position. He is rebounding better. He brought up he had 8 rebounds. I think he's boxing out more, but his replacement is right next to him, which is Dorian Finney-Smith. Right. And the Lakers traded for him. Now in the regular season, I think JJ will be very hesitant to change the starting lineup. That just feels like the coach JJ is. But I think in playoff situations, I don't think there will be any hesitation to start Dorian over him, if Rui can't hang. But until then, like you said, you hope Rui, maybe takes less threes. Like a wide open Rui Hachimura 3 is a good shot. At least it is this season. It's a 43% shot. Luka creates open threes and dunks, right? And if your roll man is Jackson Hayes, which is Jackson Hayes is a good lob threat. I think teams are going to take away the lob, which means these corner threes are going to have to go in. That's just the way Luka plays. LeBron also creates these shots. Austin's gotten better at these, but 51 threes is a lot. But I think that's the shot diet that JJ likes. I think he wants to take more threes. He's cut from the same cloth as I'm blanking on the Celtics coach right now, but
Missoula.
Missoula, who's also kind of in that vein of taking bajillion threes and play the math game. But I just think a Rui Hachimura open shot is a good shot. Now he has to hit them. I think he has this season. I think he will going forward. Now the other stuff is a question to me. Is it fair for Rui Hachimura to play small ball? I'm not sure, but that's the role. He's playing it okay. Like he's not going to stay in front of guys. He's not your point of attack defender. I don't think he has to be, but he's rebounding well for his position, and we'll see what these last games hold. But I think the Lakers won't hesitate to move on from him in the summer. But I think from right now, Anthony, he's a big part of the team. There's no question about it. He's in your top level of talent, and he's played well. I think he's having the best stretch of his career if you take out this Hornets game. And even then, I think he got in double figures. So I think Rui's fine. Luka had 14 tonight. Austin had 8, right? And again, you don't want these to be the numbers you need to beat the Charlotte Hornets. I think the offensive floor needs to be higher before I go and look, I guess, at Rui's contributions, understanding the free throws that he missed.
I want to be clear, like in terms of the Lakers' actual problems this year, those are two separate conversations. I'm far more
Okay.
concerned about like the center situation than I am
Mm-hmm.
Rui Hachimura.
Sure.
I am far more concerned that like uh if like Dalton and Vando don't work out, what does your bench look like? Because Vando looked pretty bad, I thought, tonight, and like I think eventually playoff teams are going to play Vando off of the court. But like I what I what I more mean is that
Do you trust him,
the,
right?
the Lakers, no, the Lakers, Vando's contract is such that like people are just like, yeah, just include Vando instead of Rui in a trade, and like you can just go out and get like whatever player that you need Rui to be. It's not how that's going to work. Vando has one of the worst contracts in the sport. Like he has 3 years after this one, and he hasn't shown an ability to stay on the court. So teams aren't interested in his contract. So if you're going to trade Jared Vanderbilt, you have to include more stuff to move off of Jared Vanderbilt. Whereas like Rui next year is going to be an expiring contract. And at last deadline, the Lakers basically made the decision of like, and they made it early too, by the way. I reported pretty early on that the Lakers, even after trading Luka or for Luka, were like, if we're gonna go out and get a center, we aren't gonna mess with our immediate rotation. That included Rui, that included Gabe. And
Sure.
and like if you would have included those two guys, you probably could have gone out and gotten a Nick Claxton. And my question would be like, who would you rather have on your team right now? Nick Claxton or Rui Hachimura and Gabe Vincent? And I don't know, man. Like Nick Claxton fixes a lot of stuff. And and I think what Rui provides you, I think the Lakers would be able to find that elsewhere on their roster right now. As it is, I want Dorian to play over Rui anyway. So it's like
Sure.
this offseason, the Lakers are going to have to try to figure out what the chances are that Rui becomes the actualized version of himself that uh, makes it an okay decision to not go out and get the center that Luka wants and would actually provide the impact that like they need at
Yeah.
that position.
I guess to answer your question, I would still have Rui and Gabe. I think both can contribute, in a playoff rotation. And I'm not as high on Nick Claxton, and his contract's a little bit more expensive than I would like to kind of use at that position. And look, I think the Lakers did think they found the center. He played against us tonight, didn't play great. Obviously, would have been nice to have that size, but like honestly, Anthony, like I guess I look at it from if Rui Hachimura can be the guy he's been in the regular season, and everything else fills in like it should, like we're expecting, right? If our expectations meet kind of reality of Luka is who he is, LeBron's who he is, and Rui Hachimura just does what he's been this season, then I think I'm okay. I don't think Rui has to step into like Rui's not like expecting Rui, I guess, to be this defensive ace that can switch on the perimeter. I don't see that, and maybe that's where to me you can play Dorian. And I think that's fine in a regular season sense. Now in the playoffs, I'm with you. I think Dorian's going to start a lot. I think a lot of matchups kind of really ask for what he does. Kind of on the perimeter and as a rebounder and a spacer. And he and Luka just have this chemistry. You could tell that they kind of know where each other like the ball. It's funny how basketball works that way, where you cannot play with a guy for a long time and you play with them again. It's like, oh, I know exactly what you like on the floor.
Yeah.
So those two kind of are connective in that way. But yeah, if Rui obviously had a really bad game tonight, I'm interested to see how he plays going forward. But like he's gonna be spooned, like the saying is set the table. Like Luka and LeBron don't just set the table. They kind of give you the play. They give you this. They even put the spoon in your mouth. Like it's just the shots.
Look,
Like
man, I have a son who is extremely picky when it comes to his food, and I put the food in his mouth oftentimes, and he just goes,
I love how Rui's the like baby in this.
Yeah.
In this
yeah.
analogy.
Rui's got his bib on, like
Right.
Rui is sitting here, like if I give Rui a cookie, a wide open dunk, he's like more.
Right.
But if it's look, I don't trust Rui shooting 8 3-pointers a game. I know that people are saying like, get 43%, 43%. How many threes is Rui shooting per game? It's not 8. He's not shooting 8 threes a game.
You better get ready to shoot 8 threes a game.
Fine, sure. But like, if you guys actually believe that Rui's percentage, it will hold up on that kind of volume, then okay. But then all of a sudden he becomes a max wing type player. Like he becomes like we're talking about like Rui. And again, this is again exactly the point that I'm making. If you think that Rui is going to hit 43% of his threes on 8 threes a game as his volume, and he becomes Cam Johnson, I almost said campaign. I hate campaign. I don't want that guy. But if and this is exactly my point, is that if you think that he can be Cam Johnson, okay. But that's what you have to look for this season, is that he has to become Cam Johnson, the actualized version of the player that you guys are talking about. Right now, this idea that he's just going to continue to shoot 43% on 3-pointers at almost double the volume that he's shooting 3-pointers at this season, like that is an idealized version of Rui Hachimura. And that is like the point that I'm making, is that like over the course of the season, the thing that the Lakers are going to have to keep an eye on the closest is whether or not Rui can be the actualized version of that, or if we're always going to keep waiting for this guy to be the to become the actualized version of this ideal player that we have in mind for Rui to become.
Sure. I think, obviously Cam Johnson is one of the best shooters in the league, and he doesn't just hit normal threes. He hits some curling, he hits them coming off down screens. Like, I think I guess the point, and look, Rui's not going to I don't think Rui's going to take 8 threes a game, because if he's going to hit 3 in a row, I think the defense will shift. And Rui's taking 5 threes a game right now. I don't think that's jumping to 8 right away. But I guess the way I look at this, Anthony, is the boost of playmaking that just got shot into the arms of the Lakers, I think puts everyone in positions where you're lowering kind of the bar of entry, right? Rui's should never have to take a contested shot. Should never have to take. I know he likes to dribble, but shouldn't really have to take too many dribbles. The mid-range fadeaway, I don't know how JJ has done it, but has taken that out of his game. Has told Rui, I don't know if he's finding him, I don't know what he's doing, but he told Rui no more post-up 3-dribble fadeaway jump shots. That's been taken out. So you're going to be, again, I use the term, you're going to be spoon-fed shots. And I think Rui just has to be ready to fire. And if he can't hit, I think we have other options on the floor we can go to. Rui doesn't have to be a 45% 3-point shooter for that. I think that's where Dorian can fit in. I think Gabe's kind of essentials as a shooter helps as well. It's just, again, this offense should hit a baseline of consistency to where I think Rui's fine in the role he's in. Now, can you upgrade that in the summer? Sure. Is that a contract I'd be comfortable moving to upgrade? Absolutely. I think right now, I think that's the guy that's going to get open shots, and the Lakers going to have to trust that those go in. And like, I'm with you. Maybe they don't. Maybe, he gets spooked in a series. But then again, you got to kind of move on from that. But that'd be awful. And like, Rui has to help this year. There's no world where Rui's terrible and the Lakers are able to kind of sub him out for someone else full time. Like, that's just, Vando can't play. Watching Vando is so fascinating. I don't know if we can go to Vando before we get to these star comments, but watching Vando next to Gabe and DFS, Anthony, like, it's like watching 2 adults next to like a guy who just has been locked up for so long, just ran out. It's like, I gotta go run out. I gotta go everywhere. And DFS and Gabe are like, let's settle down. Let's move the ball. And Vando's like, no, I gotta go for this rebound. Like, I think there's a level of, like, I guess taming that level of energy that you got to work with on Vando. But Vando can't play more than 25 minutes a game. He just can't. It's just the energy button that he presses will not go longer than that. But the Rui conversation is he's the next guy I think that has moved, where he's the next player that everyone looks at like, hey, you're on the clock. D'Lo's gone.
Yeah, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that I want him out of the rotation. I'm not saying that I don't like him as a player now. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying that he needs to become actually the player that the Lakers need him to be in very short order, right? In order for the Lakers to capitalize on this Luka LeBron window, which may not even be a window. Like, if Luka and LeBron can't run anything together, then there's no window that we're talking about here. We're just running out the clock with LeBron, and then we'll see what that becomes. But like the like Rui needs to like he's hitting it. He's hitting it. Like Schmicky is losing his mind over here. I acknowledge you, Schmicky. 43% on from 3, and he's attempting 5 a game. But if the Lakers are going to be the kind of offense, and if he's going to capitalize on the kind of attempts that Luka is going to create, that's going to creep up to where it was tonight at like 8 a game, whether he's making or missing. And that is going to, that's going to bring into the equation a lot more volatility. And that 43% number is going to start dropping a little bit. That's just how this is going to go, because I don't actually think he's a 43% 3-point shooter on the kind of volume that you need your 3-and-D wing to be. And so, like, again, I would love, by the way, I'm entertaining the idea that he could be this, right? Maybe he is. Maybe he does shoot more 3-pointers and he hangs there at 43% and he just knocks down the open ones. Perfect.
That's all he has to do.
Awesome. Fantastic. That'd be incredible. I would love for that to play out that way. And if it does, that's one fewer thing that the Lakers have. That's one fewer box that the Lakers have to check in the offseason. I'm just making the point that over the course of the rest of the season, that's the guy that they have to identify as he's the one guy that they can get a real return for in the offseason. Sure. And he's gonna have to play his way into this core for the remainder of the time that Luka's there. That's literally I would love it if he plays his way into that role. That'd be incredible, because that would be like the most important position that the Lakers could have figured out moving forward. And then you can use like Kleba and Gabe on a better center at the in the summer. But till then, or if Rui isn't actually that guy, then that's a conversation the Lakers really have to entertain.
Here's how I'd put it. If he's not shooting well, something went wrong, because the shots he's going to get are insane. Like, Luka's running around with extra baby fat going on, still spoon feeding him, just apps. And you could, it's so like,
I love the idea that there's a parent with baby fat still feeding spoon feeding their baby.
Right. Yes. What a picture that is. But it's so funny because Luka's obviously, when you get a new player, you kind of start to see the emotions and faces they make. But sometimes Luka will throw a pass and Rui's open, but Rui doesn't know he's open and Luka does. Like, it's a funny thing where Rui's kind of like, all right, and Luka's throws in the ball and Rui kind of bumbles it before he shoots, and you can see Luka's face like, you're wide open, like, just catch the ball and shoot it. But yeah, he's going to be spoon-fed so much, not just on threes. I think we've kind of belabored that point. The cuts to the rim, anytime he has an advantage at the rim, the ball is coming. And he saw, like, the first few times tonight, he's like, oh, wow, the ball's already in the air. I got to kind of get ready. Like, but, every time someone fronts him and he has an advantage, the ball is going to be in the air to him. And that's stuff that I think he's going to be ready for. And he should, he's having a career. I think this is the best stretch of his basketball career in the last 3 or 4 weeks, coming from, I think, the Knicks game a few weeks ago. So he's playing really well. And I think the shot, like, just the shot quality is going to be at a point where if he's not playing well, you'll know it. It won't be a secret. It won't be something you have to analyze. It's just, if he can't go and make these shots, like, you're going to have to move him in the summer. But until then, I think kind of have to trust that he'll hit these shots, and hopefully have to kind of fill the roster elsewhere, especially the center position.
I'm wondering at this point if Schmicky is Rui's agent. But like, I'm not blaming Rui for how tonight went. Sure. I said it earlier. The Lakers shot 51 3-pointers. That's the reason they lost. Like, that's you want to talk about like why the Lakers lost this one? Because they shot 51 3-pointers against a team that like loves to run on either turnovers or long misses. And the Lakers defense is not good enough in transition to get back on either of those occasions. And it kept the Hornets in the game. And then the Lakers couldn't get a stop down the stretch. And here we are. Also, Luka's fat. Like, we can say it. Like, Luka doesn't look like he's in good shape. I was going to ask you, like, At what point do we start to worry about the fact that he
Sure,
looks like I
sure.
do out there? But like,
We could
you
do that
know,
tomorrow.
yeah, but like that's it's certainly like it's not great that like he had that 3/4 dribble and like it was immediately like I thought he was gonna vomit. Like I thought he was gonna ask for like one of the security guards to go bring a trash can during like a timeout. Like, hey man, can you just bring this over? I'm just gonna like it's just beer. I just gotta get it up and then I'll be fine. But like it was bad to watch him look that way. And I will say that like while he was dealing with the strained calf for the last 6 weeks, that is a
Sure.
really difficult thing to condition through because you can't quite run. You could do a lot of swimming, I guess. I don't know
Sure.
if like Luka looks like he might enjoy swimming, but like on vacation, I don't know if it's like the kind of thing that he loves doing
Right, with a
a
nice
ton of.
fruity drink next to him. It's
Yeah,
not
right. Like he likes he probably likes floating. I don't know how much he likes swimming. Um,
right.
and then like you got like I guess you could do like upper body cardio kind of things, right? Like I've seen those machines out there that like help there. I just don't know like to
I don't
what
think he was
extent.
doing any of that.
I don't yeah, I don't like based on what I've seen from him and based on his interest to this point, based on the fact that Dallas was like, okay, yeah, this guy's never gonna like maybe Dallas made the biggest mistake ever, which I still contend that they did. But
Mhm.
also, like there are enough whispers out there that this guy needs to take this more seriously. And I'm asking you, Raj, like at what point do we start watching this? Because like,
Yeah, I
man,
think
I do really wish this guy like
so
was in shape, not a shape.
it's so funny because Luka being one of the most relatable Lakers ever is just not something I thought. But we've all like played basketball under circumstances where we're not feeling our best, or you had a long night before, and everyone knows that look of I just got to get the first game out of me. I'm gonna be terrible, like for that first game, but
Yeah.
after that, I'll
Nobody
be
get too
fine.
close because this
Right?
sweat's gonna smell like tequila.
Yes, yeah, the vodka sweats that come out from that. But no, I think 10 games later, like if he's still huffing and puffing like this, like I think there's some concern. But what's funny when you watch his Dallas film, like he was never a guy that was smooth either on like it never
Yeah.
looked athletically smooth. He would hit the tough shot and the grimace would be there in the face, while he's looking at the ref complaining. So like that's always been there. But yeah, this is definitely an extra level of conditioning. Something interesting that I saw in the chat, Carl mentioned it that Rui has low IQ. Obviously, that's a very mean way like to put it, but I think that is an interesting. Like, obviously, I think Luka and Rui's relationship on the court is going to
Basketball
be
IQ. I don't
yes,
think like
yes. That's a good. That's a yes.
Dalton has low IQ, but like
Oh,
Rui
come
has
on.
low basketball IQ,
All
I
right.
think.
Okay. Well, in any case, I think that's it because I think Luka does, as most do, but prefers like players that really can feel and read off his plays. And I think something that you mentioned is Rui is a guy that you do have to really give the map to, and give the
Yeah.
geographical location to of where the shot should come from. Even like I think Utah went to a zone like for 50 straight possessions. And like it was very clear Rui needed a flash in the paint, and it was just Luka's like, we did this 6 straight times. Like, let's go. So that's something that I think is interesting, kind of watch their relationship with that. And obviously Luka has an affinity for DFS. That's extremely clear. We'll see how that relationship goes. But yeah, Luka needs to get in shape. I don't think that's like, I don't think that's
I
blowing
think he
anyone's
would
mind.
recognize that
Yeah.
too.
Yes. It
Like I
doesn't
don't
look like
think
he was doing much running at
do
all.
you all right. So you're too young to have ever had this moment. But I remember the first time that I always had a crazy, and I know this is like hard for people to believe at this point in my life, but I had a crazy metabolism at growing up. Like
Mhm.
I could not. My dad used to pay me to gain weight in the off season. Like he would pay me by the pound. I need you to gain. I need you to gain some weight. I would go to El Paso, and he'd be like, "All right, if you come back, I will pay you." He was like $15 per pound that you gain while you're in El Paso. Because it used to be like good protein that I would eat in El Paso, right? A lot of carne asada, a lot of beans, a lot of like not too many carbs, although tortillas and rice is a big deal too.
Mhm.
So like I remember though, like the first time I recognized like, oh shit, I'm not in shape. Like,
Mhm.
oh shit, I am not at that stage of my life where I can't eat whatever I want and just step out onto or drink whatever I want and step out onto the court the next day. Or even like I used to shit, dude. Like when I first entered college, like I would go and eat some like round table pizza after
Yeah.
class, and then go and just walk straight into the gym, have some mints because you don't need that breath out there on the court. But like I'd have some mints, I'd drink some Gatorade, and I would put my shoes on and I'd walk right onto the court, do a little bit of stretching, and I'd be like ready to play. And then I remember like I remember at like one point in my life, I walked onto the court, went up and back a couple times, and was like, oh, what the fuck is this feeling? This sucks. And I
Yeah.
think it was probably around 25. Like, I think it was probably around that age where it's like, whoa, this is very different. Like, this sucks. And
Yeah.
you basically can make the decision at that point where it's like, all right, I can either now focus on getting in shape and staying in shape so that this never happens again. Or you can go in the opposite direction as I did.
Right.
It was like more beer pong, everybody. And then like I just never I never tried to get back into shape ever again.
Yeah.
And that's how like and I think and obviously Luka has a lot more riding on whether or not he gets in shape than me. But like I do think that like I watch Luka sometimes and that face that he makes where he's like today he was real red in the face. Like really, really red.
He was
And
red
I was
before the
like,
game started. It was
yeah,
just
like I was like, bro, dude, that's like beer face. Like
yeah.
you need to like you, buddy. I know that face. I
Yeah.
know what that looks like. I know what that feels like.
So relatable. Just the most
Yeah.
relatable star that exists. Luka is
It's
just you see it all in him.
it's like Luka, man, like you might need to switch from beer to wine. Like whatever it is, like you switch from beer to wine, switch from like Carl's Jr. to In and Out, He's just like you need to make some life choices here that will keep you on the court a little bit longer.
Yeah, no, yeah, that's what's so funny. It's just like you watch him, you could tell he's not in shape, and we'll see it when it comes around. I think 5 or 10 games in, Anthony, if he's still like this, we got an issue. We got some Nico Harrison forms to fill out, but
Yeah.
but until then,
The funny thing to watch is like LeBron when they sub in for each other and
yeah,
Luka's walking off the court and LeBron's walking onto the court and Luka's like
right, just
you got 13 and LeBron's like, bro, are you okay? I have 15 years on you, man. I have
right.
never breathed that way in my entire life.
Did you watch him walk off the court tonight? It's just so the game ended and he just like he had a limp with a cough with a head and the Spectrum, I don't know why it was just zooming onto him and it was
Leave him
just the
alone.
most just the he could not wait to get off the court. You just
It
like,
reminded
is this
me
game
of
over?
like kids where like Avery got hurt one day and she was limping on her leg and she had banged her other knee and I was like, Avy, you're limping on the wrong leg, and she's like, and they don't know whether to limp or not.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
like, all right, either I'm gonna limp with the right leg this time or like whatever. And like I was just watching Luka walk off of the court, and I'm like, man, dude, you got to make some like again life choices here, but like life choices. It's different looking like that for the Los Angeles Lakers compared to looking like that for the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And that yellow is just it's just not it's just not coming off right. It's showing every shape that exists.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, like maybe that's why Dallas went to like a navy blue. They used to be more of like a royal blue, and they're like, all right,
Right.
navy's a little more slimming.
They have they have the black alternates, just
Yeah, right. All of a sudden, the Lakers yellows are going to be the alternates. Like black's going to be the normal color.
Hollywood nights every night. Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and get into the starred comments here,
Oh, man.
and
This
then
was a
we'll get
bad
you.
loss, man. We were
Hey, we're here laughing, man. Like this is why you tune into this show. We're gonna fat shame our star for losing to the Charlotte Hornets. All right. First comment here comes from JK Productions. Actually, really quickly, somebody like in the regular comments was like with no ops. Did you see the offensive rebound
oh
that
my
Luka
god.
got?
His feet were on the floor when he caught the ball. It's just the most incredible thing I've ever seen.
No, it was Billy. Billy was like, and Luka grabs the offensive rebound. Like, normally he'd be like, LeBron skies
Right.
for the rebound. Vando goes way up there to get it. And he's like, Luka got the rebound. And he pump fakes and he scores.
Yeah.
He clearly kind of fumbled his words there. All right. Anyway, Jason JK Productions, Kelly writes, I had hopes for a 3 seed. Now I see the 6 seed. Bet on your life. Does this team win a series? Luka is going to have expectations like never before. Last point, I definitely agree on. I'm not going to make any kind of grand prediction coming off of the worst loss of the season because the Lakers could turn right around, win tomorrow, and we're feeling very different about this team.
Yeah.
I do think, like again, and I've said this between the prediction and now, that like 23-7 was overly optimistic, but that was because I suck at math. 18 wins of the 30 that they had on the back half after the All-Star break. I still think it's like within reach. That gets you to 50 wins or so.
Yeah.
But this now means that like you have to beat Denver one of the times that you play them. You have to like one of the games that you didn't consider a win before now has to be considered a win.
Sure. There's Minnesota coming up twice. I think Milwaukee comes up, I believe, twice. So there's going to be good teams that are kind of filled into this final schedule. I'll just take on the Luka is going to have more expectations. I mean, I guess, but I think one of the biggest traits of Luka Doncic is he's a playoff killer. Like I don't worry about Luka in big games or meeting the moment, right? Like I think those are like that is not my concern at all. Obviously, if he gets in. I'm pretty sure he'll get in shape, at least better shape than this. And then how does the team kind of fit around that? But now Luka's a playoff killer. I mean, what he did to Phoenix consistently the last few years, had a road, beat Minnesota 3 times on the road last year to advance to the finals. This is a guy that plays well in big games. So 3 seed, I think they can. I think they were 3 games back of the 2 seed coming into tonight. That puts you obviously 4 games back now because no other team played. But the 2 seed probably is Anthony out of reach. I would say the 3 seed, is more of the hope. But you just want to be out of that bottom. Well, you would hope to have at least home court in 1 round. So
Yeah.
if you can get a top 4 seed, I think that's a win.
I mean, I've always said that far more important to me than like 2, 3, or 4 seed. One's out of the question. One's always been out of the question.
Right.
But what's always been far more important to me was the like avoiding the Denver Nuggets. Like wherever they are on the bracket, I want to be on the opposite side of the bracket. So if the Nuggets are on the 2-3 side of the bracket, I'm cool with the 4 seed. If the Nuggets slip somehow to the 4 spot or something like that, then cool. Try to jump up there to the 3 seed or something, or slide down to the 6 seed or something. But the later that you can face the Nuggets, the better. Because maybe then Luka will be in shape. Ryan Lucas writes, think they should waive Shake and get Dennis Smith Jr. Split minutes. Okay. On the matchup, play with Dalton, Rui to the bench for Dorian Finney-Smith. Maxey back by the playoffs would be huge. I'm not really going to rely much on Maxey. The Rui to the bench for DFS thing, I think eventually is going to happen. Waiving Shake for Dennis Smith Jr. Didn't he? Now, he announced or leaked that he wants to come back to the Lakers. He left Real Madrid. I don't think he found a team.
Not
Fultz
yet.
found a team. Lonnie found a team. Smith Jr. is the only of that collection who doesn't have a team.
Yeah.
What do you think about waiving Shake for him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Gabe Vincent kind of fills that role already. Dennis Smith's the small kind of point of attack guard. I just think Gabe Vincent already fills that role, so I'm not really with adding Dennis Smith Jr. right now. Rui for benching for DFS, I think that will happen. Maxi, I'm with you. I'm not sure, but I'm just extending this question. Jordan Goodwin didn't play tonight, and that's a guy that I would like to see get a couple more reps. I thought he was awesome in the game against Indiana. Also in Lakers in Luka's debut, I think he had 17. Had a rough game in Utah, but didn't play tonight. I think he just fits kind of what they need is a defensive, at least another guy that's kind of long on the and plays defense at a consistent basis and rebounds. I would like to see him play, but at least over Dennis Smith Jr. Even I don't think the Lakers are going after Dennis Smith Jr. with Gabe Vincent and already kind of filling that slot.
One thing I do think we're eventually going to get to is Dalton Connect catching DNP CDs. I think eventually they're going to get sick of waiting for the rookie to remember how to shoot when his one job this season was to shoot, and
he had a bad air ball too in crunch time.
It was like not even close, like that's the thing about great shooters is they don't miss that way. Remember coming into the season, JJ called him like a 99th percentile,
a 1% shooter.
Yeah. Which, either he's a 1%er or a 99th percentile shooter, whatever it is. Like, he isn't that, and that was part of the reason that the Lakers traded him. I was told, and I think they're going to give him some opportunities early in this 30-game stretch to prove that he belongs in that rotation, but I think eventually they'll probably go to like a Goodwin whose defense is more consistent than Dalton's shooting has been this year.
Yeah.
Justin Tyndall writes, since Pelinka said he didn't think Williams would be available, excuse me, was there any, I sound like Luka, was there any significant talks regarding any other bigs before the Mark Williams talks? The reasons I say Mark Williams talks is because the Lakers did have talks with Portland about Robert Williams. That unfortunately, because of the contracts, would have, like, if Robert Williams made like $1 million less per year, I think he would be a Laker, because then the Lakers could have traded Kleba for him. Kleba in the first for him. Or like Kleba, no, you couldn't aggregate. Well, I guess
Kleber's salary.
Well, if Robert Williams made less money than Kleba, the Lakers would have offered Kleba and Dalton and the first round pick package that they would have given up to Charlotte, because then you're not actually aggregating salaries, you're just tacking a salary on top. You don't need Connect's salary to get to Williams' number, but obviously that isn't the case. So that wasn't really an option for the Lakers. So if the Lakers were going to trade for Robert Williams, it would have cost them going into their rotation type players, and that wasn't something they were interested in doing. So outside of that, like, same goes for Claxton. Jonas, I don't think was ever as serious. Like, once I think the Lakers planned eventually to trade for Jonas at some point in the season going into the year. But once they had their like first negotiation with Washington, and Washington was like, no, actually, we want multiple second rounders for this guy. If not like a borderline first round pick for this guy, the Lakers were like, guess we're not trading for Jonas. And that's kind of how that went. So, yeah. And then also there's my tinfoil theory as to whether or not they ever actually wanted to trade for Mark Williams.
Do you think Rob thought he was trading for Rob Williams? And he's like, this is not Rob Williams. This is Mark Williams. Who is this guy? That's not who I traded for. Go back to Charlotte. I gave him all that.
He keeps asking, what's his name, like Jeff Peterson or whatever the guy's name from from Charlotte. It's like, man, Joe, you sound different. Thinking he's talking to Joe Cronin.
Right.
Think, man, you don't. Are you sure you're okay? You don't have a cold or something? Yeah, I definitely think tonight might have been one of the first few times that Rob Pelinka ever saw Mark Williams play, and he definitely leaned over to somebody at some point in the game. And was like, oh, thank God, my goodness. Justin Tyndall, we gave ham shit for having LeBron and AD on the bench. Yeah, like any minutes where Luka and LeBron are both on the bench together, I think open JJ up to criticism.
Now, just again, giving the devil an advocate here, I think that it's a way to keep Austin's rhythm, right? Because I think he's the one that hurts the most playing next to both of them in terms of his offensive usage, right? LeBron and Luka are going to dominate the basketball in ways that, just both of them generational playmakers are. I think giving Austin a unit, and I'm with you, there's concerns on that. I think he tries to throw Gabe in there to kind of give Austin an offset, off guard player, but I think that's his thinking behind it. We'll see if that continues going forward. But yeah, I think it's just a way to give Austin a unit where he has the ball and kind of play with the basketball and kind of keep his offensive rhythm going.
Yeah.
I mean, what other way? Unless again, you play him with Luka, like obviously there's places Austin can attack as well. But once Luka gets into his kind of full on ball
I think if
role,
you play Austin with LeBron,
that's probably the next step. Yeah,
you can, because he and LeBron worked before,
sure.
know, and he and LeBron running 2-man stuff worked really, really well. That was some of their best sets. So
that's what we ran down the stretch. Yeah.
Right. And so I actually think, like, if you're gonna give a player a unit to
Give it to
just
Luka.
cook, it's got to be Luka.
Sure.
It's got to be Luka. All right, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge Podcast. Longer episode here, coming off of the ugly loss. Again, the final 100-97. The Charlotte Hornets improved to 14-39. The Lakers fall to 32-21. The Lakers play again right away tomorrow after LeBron logged 38 minutes and Luka logged 33. LeBron was considered questionable going into this one, and there were reports that Luka might split the back-to-backs here going into these two games here. I think this kicked off a stretch where the Lakers play 6 games in 8 nights or something nuts. Is that right? Do I have that right?
I think so. 2 back-to-backs within that, I believe.
Yeah, I want to just make absolutely sure. Yeah, so they play tomorrow night, then Saturday, and then they have Sunday, Monday off, then Tuesday and Thursday, then Friday, Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday again, and then so not 6 and 8, but it's certainly a lot that they're going to be playing soon. So we'll see who is available for the game tomorrow night against Portland. However that goes and whoever plays and all that stuff, Raj and I will be here to break that down after it happens. So until then, and until the next time you guys hear from us, I'm Anthony Irwin saying have a great rest of your day, make somebody else's, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.